Should television shows about suicide be allowed for younger viewers? Most of us can hardly imagine the suffering that precedes suicide and the pain left in its wake. When the person who dies is young, the devastation is even more profound. Suicide is a widely talked about subject these days. There are movies, books, papers, journals, and those stories reflect a variety of personal experiences, and experiences can run the gamut from thinking about suicide, making a gesture or attempting suicide, to personal experience of a loved one's suicide or a serious attempt. Further, it is not always clear that a given movie or book or story will include a reference to suicide. Why should we care about this? Severe depression is one of the scariest experiences people can have, and only a small number of teenagers who suffer from depression are in treatment for it. Every 100 minutes, a teen takes their own life. Suicide is the third leading cause of death for young people ages 15 to 24. The Netflix series 13 Reasons Why, a show about a young girl taking her life and leaving behind a list of reasons for her decision, has over 6 million views, and the number continues to rise every time a new season is released. More than half of those 6 million viewers are teenagers and young adults. I am an expert in this topic as I watched the show when I was a teenager and have an interest in speaking in this about the effects that the show has brought. The message of 13 Reasons Why is not one of hope or optimism, but of tragedy and blame. 13 Reasons Why not only depicts a suicide in graphic detail, it may also, for some teens, confirm that suicide is a solution to depression, confirm that there are valid reasons for committing suicide, and confirm that in your death you could have the impact that you didn't have in your life. Television shows like 13 Reasons Why should not be allowed for younger viewers to watch because it supports the idea of suicide contagion or increased suicide among teens, triggers viewers, and because it tries to confirm reasons for a suicide by blaming others. Suicide contagion is a very real phenomenon. A person exposed to someone else's suicide is more likely to attempt it. Young people are particularly vulnerable to suicide contagion as teenagers strongly identify with the actions of their peer groups. Broadcasting messages of suicide not only creates a sense of normalization, but if there is an added appeal of martyrdom, suicide is romanticized. 13 Reasons Why is about a high school teenage girl named Hannah Baker who commits suicide, leaving behind tapes that detail her reasons for her suicide and identifying people who wronged her. The story is told from the point of view of Clay Jensen, one of Hannah's best friends and romantic partners, who discovers the tapes one day left at his doorstep. As he listens to the tapes, he confronts the plight of the dead girl, and all he is left at in the end is regret and repentance. The show provoked a heated debate over its portrayal of sensitive subjects such as teen suicide, self-harm, rape, and bullying. The first season was criticized for its graphic content, most notably the scene in which Hannah kills herself. It is repulsive that a show with so many younger viewers would even want to display something so graphic and traumatizing as that scene. According to one article, teen suicide spiked after debut of Netflix 13 Reasons Why, study says by Matthew S. Schwartz. In the month following the show's debut in March 2017, there was a 28.9% increase in suicide among ages 10 to 17. The number of suicides was greater than that seen in any single month over the 5-year period researchers examined. Over the rest of the year, there were 195 more youth suicides than expected given historical trends. This source credits the National Institutes of Health study and is therefore credible. The results of this study should raise awareness that young people are particularly vulnerable to the media. The creators of this series intentionally portrayed the suicide of the main character. It was a very stark depiction of her death, and the creators could reasonably have foreseen that it would trigger some traumatized viewers. Some say shows like 13 Reasons Why should flag troubling scenes for trauma victims. The show includes scenes of rape, bullying, suicide, and other sensitive subjects that could easily trigger people. According to 13 Reasons Why, stars issue a powerful trigger warning ahead of Season 2 by Taylor Henderson. Medical professionals and a suicide prevention group thought the show was glamorizing suicide, insensitive, possibly triggering, and potentially harmful for vulnerable young people struggling with those realities. This source got their information from medical professionals and suicide prevention groups researching the effects of the show. Netflix did include a trigger warning after complaints after the first season, but younger viewers tend to not take that seriously and will want to watch the show if their peers watch it or if others they know watch it. A final reason why this show is not appropriate for younger viewers is that it suggests that there are valid reasons for suicide, such as bullying or mistreatment by others. The show includes 13 reasons recorded on Hannah's tapes for why she took her life and to let everyone know who to blame for them. Not only does this suggest that there could be valid reasons to end one's life, but it plants ideas in vulnerable viewers' heads. According to 13 Reasons Why, the show 13 Reasons Why isn't getting it right by Alana Pre-Max Sandler, suicide is not the ultimate screw you to all the people you leave behind. Yes, people who are affected by suicide will remember the person who died, but suicide does not exact revenge. The author of this source is a public health social worker whose personal experience with suicide loss adds to her professional expertise on suicide prevention and intervention. Their surviving friends and family should never feel blamed. Typically, they either didn't truly see what was going on in the victim's head or couldn't be reached in time. Dealing with suicide loss is hard enough already, so it is wrong to place blame on anyone, regardless of what Hannah's tapes may suggest. I'd like my listeners to either contact Netflix and ask them to take the show off the site completely, or to leave a review on the show that could helpfully be seen by children's parents so that they can decide if the show is appropriate for their children to watch. Parents need to be aware of the risk factors that may put their children at increased vulnerability for suicide contagion. You could do this by searching up Leave a Review for 13 Reasons Why on Google, and it will take you to movie/TV show critic websites, or you can do this by simply contacting Netflix. You may not want to do this, as this show is a favorite of many, and I'm positive a lot of you like it as well. But these actions could stop somebody from killing themselves or giving them the idea that it's okay to do so, and allows time for affected people to receive the help they need. In conclusion, the controversy over 13 Reasons Why demonstrates to what extent concern persists that fictional media suicides may induce initiative self-harm behaviors among suicides in young adults. Therefore, whether or not fiction romanticizes suicide, the questions that should be asked are about the moral responsibilities and ethical duties that producers have when creating sensitive content developed for a younger audience. The show should be taken off Netflix, as it has encouraged suicide and contributed to an increase in the number of teen suicides after the show was released. Additionally, to trigger victims as well, when that could have been completely avoided, is absolutely horrible. It is terrifying that a TV show could offer justifications for a suicide along with graphic images of the suicide itself. Of course, obtaining professional help is the most important and effective way to prevent suicide, but the media should behave in more responsible ways. Rather than focusing on suicide itself, filmmakers could emphasize counseling or therapy as a way of removing the stigma around mental illness, allowing those who need it more easily obtaining help, and hopefully eventually destroying the idea that suicide is an option. Thank you.